What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today on this episode, I wanted to show you three really crazy colors that you find pretty much across the board with soft plastic manufacturers that when I first started exploring the different colors of lures in bass fishing, which there are a ton. That's one thing about bass fishing. There is no shortage of SKUs for all these different colors on the market. But you know, generally speaking, you know, when you first start bass fishing, all you hear about is match the hatch. You know, really make your bait look exactly like the forage species that the bass are feeding on. And so that's a principle that we all take to heart and pretty much we all fall in line with. But I also feel like there are some opportunities that we're missing by doing so. And the proof is in some of these really crazy colors that look nothing like what we see in nature, but they still absolutely work wonders during certain times. And there's also one that I'm going to show you that actually works all year round. It's pretty wild how well this one color works. And really, you know, when I look back on the other type of species that I fish for, you know, I guide in Alaska every summer. I missed this year, but for the last 20 years, I've been going up to Alaska, and you know, for salmon up there, we're fishing some pretty bright, you know, boisterous colors. You know, things like fire tiger, you know, chartreuses, bright oranges, and things like that that are not realistic at all. And what I think is happening with those species is most of the time that we're fishing for salmon is right around the spawning process, and so they're starting to be triggered by some things that they normally wouldn't be triggered because they're starting to get those kind of parental instincts. I think that's just my theory on the whole thing, and I think that's why you start to see those fish really target those bright colors. It's almost less of a feeding response and almost more of something that they want to kill whatever that is. In fact, there's actually another reason why salmon might, for instance, want to you know, attack a bait that's colored like bright orange or even a pink color, and that is because they are so geared and conditioned to actually not only eat other salmon eggs but destroy them. You know, that's one thing you see is that salmon will eat the salmon eggs as they go up the river and destroy them pretty much. So that's kind of like just something that they've evolved to do. So I think that there's something in all species of fish that really flips that switch when they're presented with a unnatural color that just for some reason just triggers that response from them. So anyways, beyond all my you know, half-baked, you know, theories on you know, what gets fish to tick, let's go ahead and get into the different colors that we're talking about. So the first two colors that I want to show you, I think personally, my theory is that they're really triggering that response that we just talked about, but in bass. So during the early spring, so like right before the spawn, so the pre-spawn period through the spawn, there's something that happens that you know, is widely known in bass fishing, where fish will attack a bait that is very bright and bold, and the two colors that I think are the most important for this specific technique, which is the floating worm technique, has got to be methylate, this crazy color right here, and also bubblegum. Okay, so these two colors, obviously nothing in nature really resembles this that the bass see on a regular basis. I mean it's possible that there's a bright red worm or bright red salamander or something that occasionally they see, but not on a regular enough basis for them to like target that type of forage. But these two colors nonetheless during that narrow window of opportunity between the pre-spawn and the spawn, these fish just absolutely go crazy. And they don't just like have a feeding response to these two colors. They actually have like, it's a hateful response. They hate this color. So to me, it's just essentially flipping that switch and triggering those fish into this like blind parental guardian rage, you know, where they just attack a bait just because it makes them angry and they're trying to protect you know, their offspring. I think that's kind of what's going on there, or something close to it. But regardless, during the spring, methylate, which is a very bright orangish pink, orangish red color, and bubblegum, these are absolute killers, okay? And really, you don't see too many other baits that that get as much attention in these two colors, but there are some other baits that do you know, catch some fish in these colors. You know, even saw a tournament you know, years ago where a lot of the people that were in the top 10 were fishing pink spinnerbaits, bright pink spinnerbaits during the same period of time, but they're fishing very bright, boisterous spinnerbaits in that kind of like pink hue. Or they had like a bright red blade, which essentially was kind of the same color as the methylate. Again, during that exact time period. I think the rest of the year, you're more or less trying to get a feeding response out of the fish, but during the spring, you can also appeal to their instincts as you know, during the spawning process. So these colors just seem to kind of trigger that. Now, for the third color, this is one that when I grew up in California, I used a lot, but at first I didn't understand it. I didn't understand why on earth the fish would be, you know, eating this bait, because it works all year round and nothing in nature, again, looks exactly like this. So I didn't really quite understand it, but what I did understand is that you just caught fish on it. So the color that I'm talking about is Morning Dawn. Now, most companies will make this color and they'll call it Morning Dawn. Z-Man actually kind of tweaked the color just a little bit, and theirs is called Twilight. I really like this one. It's a little bit brighter, a little bit more on the brighter side, but we're just going to consider this kind of the same color. But overall, Morning Dawn, Twilight, whatever you want to call it, is an absolute killer all year round. And I don't understand why. I really can't tell you the reason why this bait just gets bit. But bass, if I'm throwing a drop shot, you know, for largemouth or spots down south, you know, once you get up north, I don't throw it as much, but down south, if I'm throwing a drop shot, I'm going to start with Morning Dawn or Twilight, either with the long shots or some other, you know, straight tail worm, and that is going to get bit. I mean, I guarantee it. Year after year, it doesn't matter how many fish you catch on it, they just seem to eat that thing up every single year. So I don't know why, but if you're going to you know, learn how to drop shot, especially down here in the south for largemouth, you definitely need to try the Morning Dawn or Twilight color. It just flat out works. Again, not sure why, but anyways, guys, I just wanted to show you some of these crazy colors and kind of share the situations where they seem to work for me. You know, I was kind of taken back by these colors when I first started bass fishing and didn't know exactly where to throw them, but now I do. I mean, you know, the methylate and bubblegum that we talked about earlier, mostly during the spring, pretty much only during the spring for me, and the Twilight or Morning Dawn, for sure, year-round color. But regardless of how natural or unnatural they look, I think as anglers, we just need to experiment more. We need to take those crazy colors off the shelf and really experiment with them and see where they might fit in, because if you experiment enough, at some point you're going to find something that is the juice that nobody else knows about. So anyways, guys, let me know in the description below or the comment section below what other colors we should add to this list. I was primarily doing the colors for soft plastics today. I'm probably going to do a hard baits, version of this video at some point. But let me know what the craziest colors are that you see out there that you don't think should work, but really do work. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. I'm going to see you out on the water. Make sure you trust the process.